Que putz, that was an ugly win for the Philadelphia Eagles, 20-17 against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. And listen, fans are going to look at this game and be concerned about the offense, and I think they are just, they're not wrong by any stretch of the imagination. This offense looks putrid once again. The play calling is conservative. You're not able to get the ball to your best playmakers. And the one guy that you do give the ball to, Saquon Barkley, it didn't look like it did last season, right? So everybody kind of knows that, hey, he's going to get the ball. The offensive line doesn't look the same. They look sluggish, lethargic. The play calling gets in really slowly, right? Like, there's no rhythm to this offense. It's not the same as it was last season. Like last season, I can justify a slower paced team because there was rhyme or reason to an offense last year. The play calling had a relative flow to it. Wasn't very pretty, but there was a flow and a rhyme or a reason for the play calls. With Kevin Patullo right now, I don't see the rhyme or the reason. I don't understand the identity of this offense. I have a feeling they have it mixed up, in my opinion. That's just me. And I'm going to kind of give my suggestions on what I think they can do going forward as a way to attack opposing defenses going forward. But, again, this offense and this team has just won the football game by talent. And I don't think that is something you need to, or that's something that you cannot rely on going forward week after week after week. Okay, you need to have one, an identity, and two, you got to be able to play clean football, and Philadelphia Eagles have not, and you can't get lucky all the time. This is the second week in a row that we have relied on drops from the opposing team in order for us to capitalize on and make plays off of. So, again, last week it was CeeDee Lamb, Travis Kelce, the slant to the end zone, cooking Reed Blankenship, and he ended up just dropping the pass. Like that is just what it came down to. Andrew Mukuba was there to make the play, but you can't rely on the opposing team to make a mistake like that and expect to win football games week after week after week. Because you can't have an offense that looks the way it did today and expect to win big games. You can't. And it's not like the defensive performance was the same as it was last season. I know you held them to 17 points and you held them to under 20 points, which is fine. And you would trade yardage for points any day of the week. But you know what? There are a lot of blown coverages in this game as well. Receivers were getting behind the safeties on this team. Adoree Jackson can't seem to cover. Reed Blankenship seems to a step off. Now, Cooper DeJean's an excellent player and an excellent open field tackler. But you know what? In coverage, I thought today he had a little bit of a harder time. I think he had some moments where he looked a step off. Same with Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, even though the long bomb to Thornton that Quinyon Mitchell ended up recovering off of wasn't his assignment, it's just one of those things where you look at it and you say, damn, like, what happened and what is going on with this Philadelphia Eagles unit? Right now, they're kind of relying on their aura and the fact that they were the champions last season entering each game. And that's something that you cannot let happen going forward because that will not win you football games as the year goes on. It is really, really putrid. It's looking closer and closer to 2023 Philadelphia Eagles season, except this defense seems to be much better, but the offense seems to be a lot more lethargic. Now, I say all of that. It's still week 2. It's still very early in the season, and I get that. But I mean, for Pete's sake, jeez. You look at other teams in the NFL, and they have a relative flow to their offense. This team does not. And maybe you could contribute that to Jalen Hurts because he's the common denominator in terms of running the offense every year on why it always looks so choppy. Fair enough. And I think we'll dive into that more as the show goes on, and we'll talk about that. But Nick Sirianni's still there. You still have all these talented people on the offensive side of the ball, and yet somehow we are unable to scheme or get any of these guys open and open in space. We have no ability to do so. I mean, how many swing routes, how many screens are we seeing sideline to sideline drive after drive, and then just runs up the middle, hoping Saquon can bust one. That's not an offense. That's not an identity. And I think that's something that we're going to have to kind of monitor going forward. I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but that's just something that Philadelphia's going to have to take a look at going forward. But some positives in this game. We won against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to talk about that game a little bit more and some takeaways about it in just a few. But before we do that, I got to introduce you to the show because this is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I am your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I am a Birds fan who talks about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here. Help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, be part of the discussion, and subscribe to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a 5-star review because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to subscribe and like this channel. We want your support. We appreciate your support, and we thank you on the opposite side of the camera, on the opposite side of the airwaves. Now, listen, let's just go down to the nitty-gritty here. I'll start with the positive stuff first, and then I'll get a little bit more into the offense, okay? Positives. We won the game. We're starting off the season 2-0. In the end, we can talk about all we want, how we want to be able to be playing better football as the year goes on, yes, but these games in the beginning of the year count just as much as the games on the back end of the season. So the fact that you came away with 2 victories as opposed to a loss or 2 losses, that's a good thing. So positives on that front. On the defensive side of the ball, you saw the impact that Jalen Carter can make, and you saw what Zadarius Smith, the type of impact he made. I thought he looked really damn good out there. He instantly popped off my screen. I thought he looked like the best defensive lineman, the best edge guy in Philadelphia. And it helped Nolan Smith make more plays. It helped other guys make more impact, like Moro Ajomo and Jordan Davis, and etc. Really, really good sightings. Also, Jahad Campbell, I thought, played okay today. I thought he played really, really well for the most part. Had some moments where he was, a little step behind in coverage, but that's neither here nor there. But again, a promising rookie campaign thus far. And then Andrew Mukuba. Obviously, we got lucky with the interception, as we talked about at the top of the show, but he was there to make plays. He's always around the ball. He did miss that tackle on Patrick Mahomes. And listen, that's a welcome to the NFL moment. These guys are big. You got to wrap up. You're a small player. Wrap up. Don't worry about the big hit. Just get the guy on the ground. But he's always around the ball. He's got good instinct. I like the way he covers the field. And it looks like Philadelphia got a pretty quality player in the second round here, as long as he stays healthy. So in that sense, we like what we saw on the defensive side of the ball. And then offensively, again, whatever play needed to be made by Jalen Hurts, he was able to push the drive forward. The tush push by the end of this year is going to be gone. Nobody likes to play. You could even tell by the broadcasting, the officiating. It's just impossible to officiate. So they're going to probably get rid of it at the end of the season. So enjoy it now for while it lasts, because it won't be here by next season. And, again, no turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. So I think that's a positive thing. I always am a person who values the fact that you don't turn the ball over. Running the ball, stopping the run, and not turning the ball over are the 3 main things that you have to do as a football team in the National Football League in order to be successful. Philadelphia seems to be doing the no turnovers and running the ball relatively effectively. Now, in terms of stopping the run, that's what we're going to have a little bit of a different discussion. That kind of gets to some of the bad side of things in regards to this football game. The defense not being able to stop the run is a little problematic. Now, I know most of those yardage came from Patrick Mahomes' scrambles and breaking down in coverages, etc. But listen, man, rushing yards is rushing yards. Moving the chains is moving the chains. You got to be able to dictate the tone of the game by stopping the run and making a team one-dimensional. If you could do that, now all of a sudden you could dictate what you do on defense a lot better. Because most of the time, you build a defense. I know, ironically, we draft the defense from the defensive line back, and most teams believe you build it from the trenches and work your way back. However, I was talking to like a football coach outside of the podcast, because I tend to work with him, and he was talking to me about how to design a defense. You start from the back end and work your way up. You build the defense to stop 4 vertical passing routes. You stop 4 verts, meaning just 4 streaks, 4 nines, 4 deep balls. You make sure you have all those lanes covered. And then you start to allocate guys based on the coverage underneath so that you can allocate X amount of guys to the run. It's why Philadelphia go ahead and drafts defensive linemen so high and has a rotation of defensive linemen, because the more talented defensive linemen you have, the less personnel you need to dictate to stop the run. If I can play with 4 down linemen, I could allocate 7 guys on the back end to play pass. And that's ideal, especially in the NFL today. So that's why Philadelphia builds from the trenches and works its way back, because it's easier to get defensive linemen and allocate talented guys there as opposed to finding quality cover guys, etc. Right? But again, I went on a tangent there. Point being is, you have to stop the run. Back-to-back weeks now, we have given up 119, 120 plus yards rushing. Not a good recipe, considering the fact that this offense looks as slow and sluggish as it did today. Now, again, against Dallas, I thought Jalen Hurts played excellent. He looked sharp. And based on the pace of the game, he played within the flow of it. Against Kansas City, once again, I didn't think Jalen Hurts played terribly. I also didn't think he played excellent. I think this offense is one very, very conservative. You see the way they're designing their plays, the way they're calling the scheme. It just seems very, very timid and simplistic in terms of, hey, we don't want to put the ball in jeopardy. Let's not take chances. So they settle for the screen routes. They settle for the little slant patterns across the middle, which every team now understands is coming whenever A.J. Brown runs a route, because that's the only damn route he seems to run in this offense for whatever reason. And then if you send the blitz, it's literally, hey, just go deep and I'll put the ball in the air for you by Jalen Hurts. And that seems to be the answer for the hot routes on blitz packages that Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and Jalen Hurts seems to like. So those are the same things we were saying in 2023. No flow of the offense, play calling simplistic, it's mundane, it's conservative, you're not being aggressive enough. Not a good recipe for a football team like this, especially if you want to be a team that's contending for a Super Bowl. The difference last season was you had Saquon Barkley, who was busting off 60, 70, 80-yard runs almost every other time almost every 4 or 5 times he touches the ball. So your quote-unquote explosive plays came from Saquon Barkley's big runs. But the inconsistency on offense is something alarming, and I have notes that I was writing during the game, and on the offensive side of the ball, it looks like a passing offense that's trying to spread the defense outwards horizontally to develop a vertical running game. While there's nothing wrong with that philosophy, that's similar to what Kansas City actually does. They try to spread you horizontally and then attack you vertically with the run by going up the middle with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. The problem is you have personnel, in my opinion. Now, this is just me. This is no insight by any means. This is my opinion. You have personnel on this offense that's meant to be vertical in the passing game. And then your running attack, you attack the edges. You attack horizontally. You run your zone schemes. Then you run your power schemes to get Saquon Barkley on the edge. Let him find the hole and create space to have a cutback lane. That's not what this offense seems to do. And if you noticed as the game went on and Saquon Barkley started getting some success, he was running plays where he was running towards the tackles, running towards the outside, not running up the middle. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's personnel. That's just my opinion on that front. And as I mentioned before, there's nothing wrong with making your offense try to attack defenses horizontally. But if you're going to do that, you need to get Jalen Hurts on the move. And the problem with this offense, you're attacking horizontally and you're making a guy like Jalen Hurts sit in the pocket, which he's able to do, but he's so much better when he's in space. He's so much better when he's able to roll out, move the pocket, and really see the field and really make plays with his legs where he can decide, hey, I can chuck it over you, or I'll take the 7 yards you're giving me. Doesn't seem to be a lot of movement in that front on the offensive side of the ball. Now, again, it's a conservative offense. You don't want him to get hurt. You don't want him to put the ball in jeopardy. I get that. But at this point, you got to show a little bit of aggression here. You have two of the best duo of wide receivers in the National Football League, in AJ and Devontae. Go ahead and chuck the ball to them. Let them make plays, right? And lastly, the thing about this offense that I think is most concerning to me, the pace of play seems off. You're getting play calls in with like 13, 14 seconds left on the play clock. You line up, and then at that point, it's only 8 seconds left to call your audible, to call your protections. And then it puts you in scramble mode. And then all of a sudden, you're like, I can't check out of a good play. I can't check out of a bad play into a good play. So now I just got to run whatever's there. And obviously what they're running is predictable and easy to stop. And then that's when you get the swing passes that go for 2-yard gains. That's when you get Saquon going behind the up the middle, behind the center for a 1 or 2 yard gain, which everyone seems to see. That's when you get the goal ball on blitz routes, or when the defense blitzes you and Jalen Hurts just chucks it deep. That's when you get those types of mishaps. So I think Kevin Patullo, while it's still early in the season and he's still learning how to call a game, that is something he's got to fix quick, fast, and in a damn hurry, because then, and this is my last point here, and this is probably something that I'll tease in for the next time we come together and talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. These were the same complaints, like I said, that we had in 2023. And now in 2023, people were wondering whether or not Nick Sirianni's hands were on this offense. Now, I am not sitting here saying he's a bad coach. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a pattern of behavior here with this offense. And some of the trends that I feel like I'm looking at are reflective of what it was in 2023. And now I know you're going to look at the numbers and say, hey, it was just bad defense. The offense was ranked 8th. It wasn't that bad. We scored a lot of points. Sure. But I mentioned this before. There's no flow. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. There's no why for how this offense is being called. There isn't. The play calls, the tendencies, the timing of plays doesn't make sense. And the route concepts that they have designed are not getting any of these guys open. It's why people think Jalen Hurts is holding on to the ball too long. It's because guys are not open. And that's because it's predictable. There's got to be another way to get AJ involved. There's got to be a better way to get Devontae involved. There's got to be a better way to implement a quick passing game that isn't a damn swing pass behind the line of scrimmage. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm somebody who cares about the result of winning more so than how it looks to a point. But at the same time, we're not in the playoffs right now. Regular season. These are the time to make your tweaks. If you win a game like this in the playoffs, you're not going to hear me complain because a win's a win. In the regular season, though, when it makes no sense and the pace of play so slow and sluggish, that's when you're going to get a problem from me. And last season, yeah, it was slow and sluggish, but it made sense. There was reason for it. And it was something that I felt I'm cool with. You had the defense to match with it. You had the excellent running game and the run blocking scheme to match the explosive plays from our running back. And then you had the quarterback who wasn't turning the ball over. I'm cool with it. This offense, though, does not look the same at all. And that's something that's going to be pretty concerning as the year goes on if this continues.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.